Hi, welcome to day 2 of our 30 days Python series. Thank you so much for showing so much love to my day 1 of Python series. So let's see the topic that I'm going to cover in this today's video. And also at the end of this video, I'm going to give you 10 exercises which you can solve by yourself to learn this concept. Now, if you have not gone through the day 1 video and if you have not set up Python environment in your machine, then you can click on this link that is going to take you to my this YouTube video where you will learn how to set up Python environment in Windows computer, and also you will learn how to set up Python environment in Mac machine. Because once you set up the Python environment, once you set up the VS Code, then you can complete the day 1 task, and once you are done with the day 1 task, then you can continue with the day 2 video. So let's see the topic that we're going to learn today. So today we're going to learn more about variables which we have touched yesterday. We will see what is data types, what are the data types we have in Python. Then we will see typecasting in Python and what are the problems we can solve using typecasting. Then we will see operator in Python like arithmetic operators and logical operators and comparison operator. We will see all these different types of operator in Python. Then we're going to see assignment operator in Python, and last we will do two mini project. So this mini project is going to be really interesting where you will apply all of your learning to do two mini project. So first let's talk about data types in Python. Now in programming language, every programming language has some data types. In Python also we have data types. So majorly we have four types of data types in Python. One is called string, which we call str. We have int, which is a whole number. Then we have which is called float, which is a again number, but it's a decimal portion, like the number that has a decimal portions. And then we have which is boolean. So boolean will contain like true and false, only two types of data inside the boolean. When we talk about float, so float is going to be maybe something like maybe price $25.5. Okay. When we talk about int, it's a whole number. It could be anything from 1 to infinity, right? So when we talk about string, it's a text. So it could be like name, it could be city, it could be product, it could be anything. So which is has kind of text. Now strings are entered inside the single quotes like this. When you talk about int, you don't have to enter in using like any single quotes or anything. However, you can add this int in this string as well. So we will also see how to check data types of a variable, how to create again different variables today. Now here are some examples that you can see I have added here. So name is Alice. So we can add the variable in single quotes and double quotes. So let's go ahead and create four variables. So we will talk about variables called items, and in items I'm going to store burger. So you can use single quotes or double quotes. Now I will show you using single quotes. We'll say burger, and let's say print items. Okay. Now you can see we are getting a burger. Even if I define using double quotes, still it's going to print me the burger. So single quotes or double quotes both works fine for variable, for creating variables. Now this is one of the variable. We can create some more variables. Let's say I want to create some more variables. So I would say price. So price I'm going to say 25.5. Okay. So 25.5 is the price, and we can say quantity, that's going to be 2 piece, and we can say store name, and we can say Burger King. Okay. Burger King. Okay, so now this Burger King is a string, so we need to put inside the single quotes. So these are the variable that you can see we have created. Now let me execute it, and you will see this is going to create all these different types of variable. Now let's see the different types of data that we have inside this variable. I'm going to store one more, which is called is hot. Now if this burger is hot or it's like not hot, so I'm just going to store inside this variable, I'm going to store a boolean value that's going to be true. Okay, so this true, it's not a text, it's not a string, so you don't have to put inside the quotes. If you put inside the quotes, it's going to be considered as a string. Okay, so let's go ahead and kind of execute it, and let's check this variables data types. Okay, now to check the variables and data types, you just need to simply say type, and inside the parenthesis you just need to say the variable name. That is how you will be able to see the variable data types. So let's add a cell and let's say type, and this is the function. So this type functions is going to give you the variable data types. Like this variable can contain any data, like it can contain the float, it can contain boolean value which is like true or false, it can contain the int, it can contain the float. Okay, so let's see this items. If we talk about this items, and let's see, you see it is showing str. So str is the string data types, we call it str in Python. Now let's see the data types of this price. So I'm just going to say type and price. You see it's showing as a float. Now let's see the quantity. So it's going to be qty it is showing as int. Let's talk about a store name. So that's going to be store name, and it's again string. That's the reason you can see it as a str. Let's see is hot, right? Let's see this data types. So I would again put that inside this type. You can see it is showing as a boolean. So let's create a function that take username and also that ask the user age. Okay, and it should return the username and age. So we will be using input functions which you have learned yesterday. So we're going to say input. Now this input is going to ask a prompt. As soon as you execute it, now you can write the prompt, right? So the prompt is a message that you can write here. So I can say please tell your name, or maybe you can say may I know your name, right? We can go ahead and say may I know your name. Okay, so I will just add one space and colon. So this is the prompt that is going to show while it is going to ask the name. Okay, now once we have the name, we can store the name, right? Because we will say that customer name is the variable where I'm storing this input that I'm going to get it, right? Then the second, I want the user age. So for that I would go ahead and say that age, and I would again use the same input, which is may I know your age. Okay, may I know your age. Okay, so and then we would return a welcome message like welcome Mr. whatever it is, Mr. Miss, and then we would display their age. So for that we will just say print, and we will say f and double quotes. So f string formatting we are going to use, which I have covered yesterday sessions. So you just need to say f, and inside double quotes or single quotes you can put your message. Now we will be using some filler using brackets, which is curly brackets, and we will put this variable name. So I would go ahead and say welcome, and welcome Mr. or Miss. Okay, we will just say welcome and the name. Okay, so then to put the name here, now if you just simply say the name, that's going to be customer name. Okay, and age. So you would just display the age if you just say age here. Okay, now the point is that it's going to display simply, it's going to consider as a string. Okay, so if I just execute it, you will see it is going to ask the name. Let's say the name is called Rex, and let's say the age is going to be 27. Okay, you can see welcome customer age. So that means this is not kind of working, because it is kind of considering this customer name as a string because it is inside this double quotes, and also this age it is considering as a text. Okay, so we need to ensure that this customer name, it should consider this input that it has asked from the customer. So for that you can use something called curly brackets here. You need to put this name in the curly brackets, which you have seen yesterday. So I would again put this in the curly brackets. Now let's go ahead and execute it again. It's going to again ask for the name. Let's say Sam, and age, let's say 30 21. Okay, you see welcome Sam, age 21. Okay, so this is how we can create variables, and this is how we can use input functions to take input from the users. Now one thing you need to know, this input functions always take a string data from the users. Now if you see this definition that you can see it here, read a string from the standard input, the trailing new line is a strip. Okay, now you will see the prompt. Okay, so this prompt asks for a string data type. So you can see that it is expecting a string data types. It is always going to take a string data types. Now what we can do, let's say if you just check this age data type, right? If in case we want to check this age data type, we can just go ahead and say type and age. Okay, you can see it is showing as a string, right? But we want to ensure that this age data type must be what? This age data type must be int, right? So what I can do for that, we can use the typecasting here. So I'm going to write typecasting. So to do a typecast, let's say you have an age here, and we have the age. So let's print the age. You see it's 21. Now it is mentioned inside the quotes. Why? Because it is a string. So if you want to convert this age into int, so what you can do is that you can simply write something called int, and inside this you can put the age. Okay, now if you just print it, okay, you can see it is now showing as a 21. If you want to check the data types of this, so you can just say type, and we can just save this one as maybe age new. Okay, and we can check this age new data type. Okay, so let's go ahead and execute it. Now see it is changed to int. So what we are doing is that we are converting this age back to what? Int, using this typecast. So we have different typecasts. So we have str, which convert the data into a string. This is one of the typecast. We have int, which convert the data into whole number. We have float, which convert the data into floating number, which is including decimal number. And we have like bool, which convert the data into bool, like true or false. Okay, let's see how to use a typecasting functions in Python to convert data types. Okay, so we'll start with one of the variables. So I will just go ahead and say, let's start with age, and the age is, let's say, 25. Okay, now this 25 I'm going to enter inside this double quotes. That means it is a string. Okay, so if you want to check, we can say type of this age. So it's going to be 25, which is string. You can see it here because we have entered inside this double quotes. Okay, now I'm just going to convert this using int functions. Okay, so I would say int of this age, and if you see, now I'm getting 25 because now this text has converted into 25 using this int function. So using int functions like this, which is typecasting int functions, you can convert a string into int. Okay, that will only work if it's a number. If you just, it's a x, it's a text, you will be getting error because you cannot convert a text into int, right? Let's start with another variable that's going to be as an int data. So I am going to say price, and I would say that 25. Okay, now this 25 is the price, and this is an int data type, so you can see it here. Okay, if you just want to check, we can just go ahead and say type of price. So let me just first uncheck this. Okay, comment it out, and you can see it's an int data type. Okay, now we can convert this. Now to convert it, you just need to say str. Inside it, you can just put this price. Okay, now this data is going to convert into 25 using the codes. You can see now it's a string. If you want to check the type, you can use the type functions to check this data type. You can see it is showing as a string. Okay, so this is how we have seen how to convert int to a string and how to convert a string to int. Let's see the float. So for the float, I would start with again price pizza. Okay, and I'm going to say 22.5. okay, so $22 maybe. Now I would just say float, and inside it I would just put this price of pizza. Okay, now if I just print it, you see it has converted to 22.0. so that means now it has added some decimal placeholder. Now if you just want to see the type of this, so you can say type of this data, so you will see it's going to give you as a float. Okay, now let's see the last one, which is going to be bool. So bool is a very interesting typecasting functions, which is bool. It's going to return true or false. Okay, the text I want to say call hw, which is called hello world. Okay, so if I just see the type of hw, it's going to give us call string, right? You can see it here. Now we can convert into bool. So bool is going to just give you two results, true, false. Okay, now the interesting thing is that it's a text, so if you convert into bool, you will get two outcome, either true or false. Okay, let's see what outcome we get. So I would say bool, and inside this I am going to put this hw, and I'm going to execute it. Okay, so it's say I'm getting true. If the string is empty, you will be getting false. If the string is non-empty, you will be getting true. So we can test it. I will delete everything from the string, and you see I'm getting false. Okay, so that means we can use this bool functions to check user input. If the user input is empty, then we will be getting false, otherwise we'll be getting true. Okay, we will maybe build a functions using this in the futures. Okay, so this is how we use these typecasting functions in Python. Let's see our next topic. Let's go ahead and see these additions. Okay, let's say we want to start with a variable called x, that's going to be 5, and let's say variable called y, so that's going to be 2. Okay, so if in case you want to do additions between them, so we can go ahead and say print, and we can say x plus y. Okay, x plus y, right? So we can just run it. You see we are getting additions, which is 7. Okay, even if you don't do the print, still you get the results. So we are using Jupyter notebook, so we can simply just say x plus y, you get the results. Okay, so this is what you have got is additions. Now let's see for the subtractions. Again, you can use minus, so you get the subtraction, which is 3. Okay, so that means 5 minus 2. Let's see for multiplications, you can use a star, so very easy, you will get 10. Let's see for divisions, so you can just use the division sign, you will be getting 2.5. Okay, now the modulus is one of the interesting one. Okay, now if you divide this x which is 5 divided by 2, so the remainder is going to be 1, right? So we can say x, and to get the modular you just need to use this percentage sign, and we can say divided by y. Okay, so let's see the outcome. So the modular is going to be 1. If this x is 4, you will be getting outcome 0. So these functions we can use to create odd or even series, or even we can identify if a number is odd or even, because for the even number you will always have the remainder 0, for the odd number you will always have the remainder 1 if you divide it by 2. Okay, we will see that in the future. Now let's see the next one, which is called floor division. So floor division is going to simply round down the number into the near integers. So let's say if we say x, which is 5, and y is 2, and we would say x double slash y. Okay, now you see it is 2. So usually if you divide it by simply y, you get 2.5. So floor divisions, it is going to ignore all this portion which is after this decimal, right? So this is how we can use floor divisions. If you want to see the exponential, that is the to the power, so for that what you can do is that, let's say I'm going to say here 2 and maybe 2. Okay, so that's going to be 2 into 2. Okay, now you can just say x to the power 2, which is y. So you'll be getting the outcome as, okay, 4. Now if you just say here 3 and maybe something called 4, you will be getting outcome as 81. Let's see how it is happening. So you can simply go ahead and say 3 to the power 4. That means 3 4 times. So 3 into 3 into 3 into 3. Okay, so this is what it is doing, right? So this is the exponential, that means x to the power y. Okay, so this is how it is working. Now these are some operators that we can use in Python. These are very useful operator. Let's see something called comparison operator. So the comparison operators are this, which is called equals, not equals, greater than, less than, not greater than or equals to, less than or equals to. Okay, so let's see this comparison operators. I'm just going to add a code cell here. A variable called x is like 22, and I would say y is like maybe only 20. Okay, and I can say that x equal to y. Okay, now see, if you use single equals, so you are assigning this value into this name. So this is the variable. If you are using double equals, you are comparing this value with this value. So obviously x is not equal to y, so we will be getting false. You can see it here. Okay, even we can check this greater than, so you can say x is greater than y. Yes, true, you are getting true. X is less than y, it's a false, right? Greater than equals also you can check, so you can say greater than equals. Okay, so we'll be getting greater than equals. You see, it's a true. Yes, it's a greater than equals. Okay, now if you say that x is less than equals, so it's a less than equals, it's a false. X is greater than y, right? So this is how you can see all the variables. Now not equals to, let's check. If you just say x is not equals to, you can use this not equals to sign, you will be getting true. Now let's see some logical operator. Okay, so let's understand this with an example. So I am just going to create two variables. So one is going to city, so city is going to be Delhi, and I'm going to say population is going to be 1.2. Okay, so 1.2 cr, okay, or something. Okay, now I would just create two statements. So the statement is going to be like this. Okay, so I would say city equals now Delhi. So you see, earlier I have created this variable. In this city I have assigned Delhi. So now if I'm going to check, hey, city equals, that means I'm comparing city is equals Delhi. So that is true. If you just run it, it's a true statement, right? But if I say here one more statement, maybe populations. Okay, and I'm going to say populations, and populations equals, like populations equals to 1.2, right? I would say 1.1. So first statement is true here, and the second statement is not true, right? Because populations we have more than this 1.1. See, I'm getting false because one statement is false here. So if I just change it to 1.2, that means I will be getting true. So that means here I'm using the n operator to compare this, and this both statement must be true. Okay, so that is fine. Now let's see one more, which is going to be or. Okay, now if I just execute the same, but I replace this and with or, so here I'm just going to get this as a, I will just change it to 1.1. Okay, now if you see here, one statement is true, this is statement is a true, which is because Delhi equals to Delhi, because the city is equals to Delhi, and the population is not equals to 1.1, but still one statement is true, and we're using or operator, so that is the reason I'm getting true here. But if I just even change it Delhi to something maybe call Gurgaon. You see, I'm getting false because city is not equals to Gurgaon or the population is also not equal. So none of the conditions are true. That's the reason I'm getting false here. Okay. Now let's say the not operator with an example. So I'm just going to add a code cell here. I'm just going to say is raining, and I'm going to store call false. Okay. That means it's not raining. Now I will use if logic here, which is part of the future video, which I will cover in the future. But for now, you can just understand if the condition is a true, you will get an output. If it is not true, you will not get anything, output in the output. So I would say if raining, and I'm just going to use this colon because it's part of the syntax. And here you want to showcase whatever you want to showcase. Maybe I want to display call don't go out. It's raining now. Okay, so if you execute it, because it's not raining, because in is raining variable I have stored false, so that means at the moment it's not raining. Okay, this variable contain false, so that means this condition is not going to be true. Now I am going to say print this, so it's not going to print because this condition is not true. Okay, let's see. You see it's not printing anything. But if I just add a else logic, so something like this else, and I'm going to say print, and I'm going to say it's not raining. Okay, now see it's executing the else logic. Okay, so again this is part of the future sessions. For now, let's just kind of focus on the not operator. Okay, so here I'm saying is raining, print don't go outside, it's raining now. This is only going to execute if this condition is true. Okay, now what I can do, we can reverse these conditions from false to we can reverse this into true. For that we can use a not operator here. So I'm going to say not, so that means I'm saying if not raining, if not, so I'm saying if not is raining. So whatever the value I had in the is raining, which was true earlier, which was false earlier, now it is going to change to true. So this time this statement is going to execute because now is raining is going to change from false to true. So let's see. So let's go ahead and see now assignment operator in Python. Okay, Python. So let's go ahead and say that I have a followers which is called followers equals 1. Okay, now I'm just going to print this followers. So my followers is 1 at the moment. You can see it's 1, right? Now let's say I got one more followers, so I would just add it like this: followers equals followers plus 1, right? So what is actually happening here, I am storing this time in a new variable which is called followers. I'm storing the followers, which is, that means my earlier variable value plus 1. Okay, you see now I have followers which is 2. Okay, now this one, we same thing, we can do it this way. Okay, I can just go ahead and say followers, and I can go ahead and say plus equals 1. Okay, so what will happen, whatever the value I had in the followers, I am plussing a value. Okay, and I'm assigning this in the followers. If you now see, it has stored the value in the followers. What value? So whatever I had value already in the followers, I am just saying plus equals. That means with that I am adding 1. Okay, so now it's time to understand assignment operator in Python. So let's start with an example called followers. Okay, let's say you have a followers equals 1. Okay, and I am just going to print the results at the end. Now let's say you have got one more followers, so you can print it this way, right? And I can print this way. You can say followers equals, and you can say followers plus 1. Okay, so what we're doing here is that we are updating that followers value, and we're saying followers equals followers plus 1. So that means in this followers, now I'm storing whatever value I had in the previous followers plus 1. Okay, so that means I'm just adding one value. So if I just print it, I get 2. Okay, so this thing we can print this way as well. Okay, so you can just go ahead and say followers, okay, plus equals 1. So you'll be getting same value. You can see it here. So what is actually happening here, you are just storing in the same followers, you are storing one more value. Whatever the value it had, you are storing 1. So you can go ahead and say now followers equals 2. So it's going to store like the previous record, which is 1 plus a 2. Okay, you can say 3. It's going to store like 3 plus 1, that's with the previous record, and it's going to update the value of this followers. Now it's going to be 4. Okay, so this is what we call assignment operator in Python. Now let's see some more assignment operator. So now I can go ahead and say followers, okay, equals, and I would say followers minus 1. Okay, so I will be getting what? And then I will be getting 0. And I'm getting 0. Why? Because in the followers I had 1. So here I had 1 and I'm minusing 1. And I'm then updating the value into the followers. I'm saving this data into this followers variable. And then I'm printing the followers. So I will be getting 0. Okay, so the same thing we can write this way. So for that you can simply say followers and you can say minus equals, okay, 1. So you are getting the same. You can say minus equals 2, you're getting minus 1. Okay, minus equal 3, you're getting minus 3. So that means you had only one following and you're minusing from the one following, you're minusing 3. Okay, if you just minus 1, you get 0. Now let's see the multiplications. Okay, so for this one we can just do a multiplications. For that we can just say followers equals, and we say followers into 2. So that means what will happen is that we are saying followers, I had one following and I'm just multiplying with 2. If I just say maybe here maybe 2 and here I say 2, so it's going to be 4. So what is happening? I am saying followers times whatever the value I had in the followers, so that value into 2. Okay, so this thing we can also write it this way. We can go ahead and say followers and we can go ahead and say multiplications equals 2. Okay, you'll be getting same value. If you just say multiplications equal 4, you get 8. So what is happening here in this followers, we are updating the value by doing a multiplications with a 4. Okay, now what does it mean is that we are updating this followers value, we are multiplying with this followers whatever the value we had, and we are multiplying with 4, and then we are assigning this to this followers. Okay, that means the followers value get increased to that value plus this times 4. Okay, so that's going to be 8. So we can again do the same with the division as well. We can just go ahead and say followers and we can go ahead and say equals followers divided by maybe 2. Let's say I am just going to say updates. So now you can see I'm getting 1 because I'm dividing, I'm saying followers, that means this follower means 2 divided by 2, and then I'm printing the result because then I'm storing this data in this followers. Okay, same way we can just go ahead and say followers and we can say that divisions equals 2. Okay, so I will be getting same data here, which is 1. Now let's see for floor divisions. So for floor divisions we can just go ahead and say followers equals followers floor divisions, and we would say maybe 2. Let's just change this value to 5. Okay, so let's see. So we are getting 2 here. So what is happening here? We are saying followers. So in the followers now we are assigning this value. So this value was what? The previous followers records, that's 5. Floor divisions by 2, so that means we get 2.5. By if we do a floor division, it's going to ignore the decimal, the portion after the decimal number. So we are getting 2 here. So then we are assigning this 2 in this followers. Okay, so we can also write this one this way. So we can go ahead and say followers and we can just go ahead and say floor divisions equals, and we can say 2. Okay, we get the same value. So same way we can do for rest of the things. That's going to be for modulus. For modulus we can say followers equals, we can say followers modulus of 2. So that means I will have the remainder. So the remainder is going to store this followers. Okay, so if I just run it, I am getting the remainder 1, because if you divide 5 by 2, the remainder you will left with, that is 1. Okay, so this one we can write this way, like followers, and we can just say percentage equals 2. Okay, so the remainder is going to store here. I will just comment it out. Now this is going to store the remainder. If you just change it to maybe 6, remainder is going to be 0. You can see it here. Okay, so now one more we have, which is for exponential. For that one you can just say followers equal, and you can say followers double times, let's say 2. So that's going to be 5 into 5. Okay, so that is going to store in the followers. So I will have now 36. So let's see what is happening here. So we have 6 here, so 6 into 6, that's 36. Okay, so this one we can write it this way. You can say followers, and we can go ahead and say here is that double star, and we can say that equals. Okay, and we can say 2. So this means whatever the value we had in the followers, we are saying to the power 2, and we are storing in the followers, and then we're printing the followers. Okay, so you see I'm getting the same result. Alright, these are the assignment operator we have in Python. Now let's go ahead and see the project. Thank you so much for watching the video till here, and I really appreciate if you can subscribe to my YouTube channel if you like this type of content, and do hit that like button. So let's continue and complete this 2 project. So the project 1 says that create a simple calculator that takes a 2 number from the users and perform additions and return the result. Very simple project. Okay. Now let's say our mini project 1. So the mini project 1 says create a simple calculator that takes a 2 number from the users and perform additions and return the results. Okay, so this is the first project we will create. Now I'm going to use a new file which is going to be a Python file that is going to be my in main directory. So right click here and I would say new file. I'm just going to name it called cal, okay, .py. So this is my new file. You see I have entered. Now I'm inside the new Python file. Here we're going to create our calculator project. So let's add a command called calculator project. Okay, so first of all, first we want to take two input. One is the first number and then we want to take a second number from the user. Then we want to make a additions calculator which just do additions and give a result. Okay, so let's go ahead and say terminal. So I'm going to get the output in the terminal here. Okay, so for that what I will do, I will just say that I'm going to take one input. So using the input function that you have learned, so I would say enter first number. Okay, so this is the prompt. So this prompt is going to show so that user can enter the number. Okay, now this one I'm going to store in called num1 variable. So let's create now one more which is going to be num2. So I would just change the name to num2 and I would say enter second number. Okay, so first number is going to enter, then second number. Okay, now I need to show the result, right? So the result I'm going to show is very simple way. So first let's just do a calculations here. So I'm just going to say num1 plus num2. Okay, so this is the calculation I'm doing. So I'm just going to store this in a variable called result. Okay, very simple. So far I'm just getting the number 1, number 2, I'm storing that into result. Okay, now I will just need to print the outcome. So I would say, now I did some mistake here. Okay, let's first see the mistake, then we will fix one by one. Okay, I want to just print a display nice message called greetings. So greetings. Okay, so for the greetings I would say print welcome to the additions okay, welcome to the additions calculator. So this is just going to give a greetings and then it is going to ask the number 1, number 2, and then we are going to do a calculations which is this, and then we will be displaying the message. Okay, so intentionally I did some mistake. Let's first execute this code and let's go ahead and say right click run in Python terminal. So for me you can see run Python file in terminal. So this is the one, I can just execute it. Now see it is asking enter the first number. Before that it's saying welcome to the additions calculator. Okay, so the first number is going to be 1. Okay, and then I want the second number. So the second number it is asking, you can see it here, it's going to be 5. Okay, so as soon as I enter I don't get the result. See in the result I'm just getting the results. Okay, so what is happening here is that first of all I am getting the number 1, I'm getting the number 2, and I'm saying result is number 1 and number 2, but here I am simply saying print result equals result. So this result is not considered as a variable here, it's just printing as a string. You can see it here. If I just put x here, it's going to print as a x. Okay, I will just show it again here. Right click run in Python terminal. It's asking the first number, so I would say 1. Second number is maybe 5. See it's printing result x. So that means at the end this is storing the data in the result, but we are not printing the result here. To do that we need to use f string formatting. So I would say f, and here I'm just going to put my result into this curly brackets. Okay, so that means this time it's going to return this variable instead of this string. Okay, now still I have done some mistake. We will fix that. Right click run in terminal. Okay, see asking number 1, that's 1. Oops, so click terminal, enter 1, number 2, 5. Okay, result I'm getting 15. Okay, so now you can see we are having 1 plus 5, we should be having 6, but we are having 15. So let's see the mistake that I have done here. Now if you see I am taking num1 which is a string, so the user is entering a string, right? So input is always entered as a string. Then I'm taking input 2 which is again a string. So if you just sum two string like string 1 and string 2, then you will be getting something like this, which is 1 plus string 1 plus string 2. So if I just want to show you, so let's say I am taking one input that is as a name. So name is going to be, let's say, Sam. So this is a string, you can see it's a text. Then I'm going to say city, and this is the second variable. That's I'm taking city from the users, that's Delhi. So if I just do a name plus city, okay, so it is just going to do a concatenations between name and city. So that means all the characters are going to be added from this name and from this city together without any space. Let me just run it in the terminal. So I would say run in terminal. You can see Sam Delhi. Okay, so this is what happening with our functions. So I'm just going to delete it, and because they are at the moment they are in the string, right? So I would just need to make sure they are in the input, right? So for that I have two options. I can either define it here typecasting, which you have learned, or I can just do the typecasting at the later stage. So if I want to do a typecasting here, I can just go ahead and say int, and inside this I would put my input functions, and here also I would just go ahead and say cut input int, and inside this I'm going to put my input functions. Now let's execute the code again and let's see the result. Okay, so I would just say run in terminal. So it is asking the first number, that's going to be 1, second number is going to be 5. You see now I'm getting, which is 5 plus 1 equals 6. Okay, so this is really important typecasting. You can see here, you need to remember whenever you take input from the users, you will always get a string, right? Because users input is always as a string. Okay, now the project 2 says create an e-commerce cart that takes which item they wanna buy, ask for their name, how many quantity they wanna buy, and what price they are buying. Show the total cart including this dollar sign. Okay, so this is the mini project 2, and I'm going to again create a new file in home directory. So I would say right click new file, and I'm just going to call cart.py. Okay, so this is my new Python file, and using docstring I will just add the comments. So for that you just need to press shift and the code sign 3 times. Now it's going to generate a docstring. So again just press 3 times and enter your text. Okay, now you can see it has generated a docstring. So this is just a comment for me. Okay, let's go ahead and create the second project. So the project is, it's going to be a cart project, so we need to create an e-commerce cart. Okay, so that should ask for the customer name first. So we will, for that we will use the input and functions, and I'm just going to say may I know your name. Okay, so it is going to ask for the customer name. This is the prompt. Okay, now we need to store the name, right? So I'm going to store into call user name variable. Okay, that is fine. Next, what I want, I would just put a comment here called taking name. Okay, then I want the product they want to buy. Okay, so I would say taking product or items. Okay, I would say items. So here I want to say that input, and I'm going to say please enter product name. Okay, so they will be entering the product name. This is the second prompt they will get as soon as they execute the code. So that is fine. Now this one I'm just going to store into call item. Okay, so next what I want, I would ask the price. Okay, at what price they are buying. So I would just say taking price. Okay, from the user. So here I'm going to say price variable. In the price variable I'm just going to store input. Okay, here I would need to go ahead and say taking the price. Okay, so asking the price, what is the price. Okay, what is the price the product they're buying. So now here we need to ensure that this number is converted to int or float. This is going to ensure that only they enter a number, not like text. Okay, so float. So that is fine. Next what I want is that all the calculation that I want to perform, and then show the result. Okay, so okay, one more thing I need to ask, which is the quantity. So asking quantity, right? How many quantity they want to buy. So the variables I want to store this data called quantity, and I would say input how many quantity are you looking for. Okay, so this is going to ask the quantity. Now this quantity I'm going to convert it into int using this typecasting functions. Next I just want to kind of do the calculations, right? Whatever the total calculations, and then I want to show the results. Okay, now I will just display the outcome, right? So I would say here displaying outcome, right? Whatever you want to say. So I would say print, and I'm just going to call f string formatting here. So I'm just going to say thank you Mr. X. So I am just going to use this curly brackets where I will put the name, thank you Mr. X, and for purchasing and here I will put the product name. Your net price is, and here I'm going to put the price. Okay, so that is it, and I'm going to display a dollar sign. Okay, with that, so let's fill up with this this first one, which is called thank you. Now here username, okay, item, so for purchasing this item, and the price, which is going to be this result. Okay, let's go ahead and execute this code. For that, right click, run in Python terminal. So you see it is asking for the first is asking for the name, so let's say it's going to be Nazir. Enter the product name, that's going to be iPhone. Price, let's say 999. How many quantity you want? Let's say I want one. Okay, you say thank you Nazir for purchasing iPhone. Your net price is 999, that's the dollar. So this is how we have created the second project functions. So right, so that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching the video till the end. You can get all this file and resources from the video descriptions, and thank you so much for giving your precious time. And if you really like this type of content, do subscribe to my YouTube channel. Have a good day, take care, bye bye.